Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the Steelers Burning Question. And as you know, when we do the burning question, we rotate. So we rotate between myself, Jeff, Dave Schofield, and who's bad? Brian Anthony Davis, aka Mr. Touchdown Zone, hashtag Mr. Just Take It, hashtag Mr. 2AM. When I do the show, I want to coin the show hashtag breakfast with Big Swa, Lance Williams, or hashtag brunch with Big Swa. Big up to Grayson Brown. Holla at your boy. And when we do this on Saturday morning, I want to thank Jeff actually for giving me the topic for the burning question because I think it's an outstanding one. And I am going to jump into a lot of my information for the burning topic from an article on the website Behind the Steel Curtain. And that's why you guys have to check it out. And the Steelers' burning question for this week is what happens when the turnovers dry up? And if you want to contribute to the show, make sure you hit the dollar sign in the corner, the super chat. If you want to help out the program, please subscribe. We're driving to get 6,000 subscriptions by the end of the year. And also, like the videos. If you like what you're hearing, like the videos, make sure you check out my show from yesterday. Yeah, I said it. Myles Garrett is playing a very dangerous game with his accusation of Mason Rudolph. Make sure you check that out. I jump into some very controversial topics. I even give you a little a view into my mind and how I dealt with some situations in the past when I dealt with those things. And then also on the show, we're going to jump into your questions. But I think the burning question is a good one. And I want to reference an article on the website Behind the Steel Curtain that was written, and I'm going to read some of this, so bear with me, by Jeffrey Benedict. And the article was written on November 6, 2019. And the title of the article is Important and Telling Statistics from the First Half of the 2019 Season. And you know, I'm a stats guy. I'm a numbers guy. Dave is the ultimate numbers guy as a mathematician and as the official oracle of all knowledge and all things Steeler and the Steeler Stat Geek. Make sure you check out his show. But I like to delve and jump into some numbers as well. Let me read from the article. And in the article, if you go to it, it says actual versus expected points and yards. And let me read from the article. One of my favorite metrics in football is percentage of expected yards and points per drive. It lets you see what the offense and defense did compared to what the opponent has done in other games. Now, I'm not going to go into his explanation and the math of it, but what I'm going to go into is the explanation of what that actually means. And further in the article, he writes turnovers and average length of scoring drive. That the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this was last week, it's probably very close to the same right now. That the Pittsburgh Steelers average scoring drive is 44.3 yards. That's the shortest average in the National Football League. On defense, the Steelers' average drive allowing a score is 51.9, fourth lowest in the NFL. And if you're listening closely, that tells you right there, I'm going to read more, what turnovers can do for a football team. It can minimize the amount of yards it takes for you to score. But if you turn it over, it can minimize the amount of yards that it takes for your opponent to score. He goes on to write, this is really telling. The Steeler offense has been unable to drive the ball down the field consistently while they lead the league in scoring drives where the offense gains less than 10 yards with 7. Add in 2 defensive TDs, and the Steelers have scored 22% of their points without the offense gaining 10 yards. What that tells you is they need this defense to continue to turn over the ball because they are scoring on drives that do not amass a lot of yards. Let me read more so. The team is scoring often without much input from the offense at all, which has kept them afloat in this season. While the offense's inability to score TDs when given short fields has been a major problem in close losses. So that right now that tells you if the turnovers dry up, they're not going to score. That if a fifth of your offense, 22% of your offense, a little more than a fifth of your offense is being generated on offensive drives of 10 yards or fewer, when that goes away, imagine what that's going to do with your yards per point. And this offense is going to be forced to sustain drives to score points, i.e., field goals or touchdowns. That tells you right there what will happen on the offensive side of the football if turnovers go away. That means that points will dry up. And I'm not looking at the NFL official statistics right now, but I'm going to, dare I say, the Steelers are probably bottom third in scoring. I'm going to say the Steelers are averaging roughly, and somebody on the live chat can look it up, roughly about 21 points a game. Probably around 20 and a half, somewhere around there, which is in the lower third. I would say that's 25 or lower. And let me go on to read more. And again, this is why you guys have to go to the website, because BehindTheSteelCurtain.com gives you great information like this. He also wrote, meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense is not giving up long drives for scores, but they are giving up short drives for scores. Turnovers are the story here. Since week 3, the Steelers offense has scored on 13 drives started by a turnover, while the defense has given up 9 scoring drives off of turnovers. Both stats lead the league. Let me read that again. Since week 3, the Steelers offense has scored on 13 drives started by a turnover, while the defense has given up 9 scoring drives off of turnovers. The average length of those drives for the offense is 31 yards, and for the defense, 26 and a half. So the defense is turning over the ball in their negative territory, setting up short scoring drives for offenses. So what this is telling you, and I'm glad that the title of the show is What Happens When the Turnovers Dry Up? And I love Jeff for the title, and I thank Jeff for giving me this question. Because the way that he framed it, and that's why Jeff is the editor of the website, because Jeff is a smart guy, just not a good mathematician. It's a dual-edged sword. It's a dual-edged sword. There's some multiplicity or duality, or there's a flip side to this. If they don't get turnovers, that the defense doesn't generate turnovers, they're going to struggle to score. But if they don't turn it over, teams are going to struggle to score. And the sweet spot is in between the two. What happens when turnovers dry up? So if the defense doesn't get turnovers, they're going to struggle to score. But could that be offset by the fact if the offense doesn't turn over, and it makes it even more extremely difficult for opposing offenses to score? Is where is that balance in between the two? What we have seen on this team is in the past several years, they struggled to get turnovers. But what we've seen, which to me is so alarming, and it's so indicative of a team that is average, and the Steelers are an average team. You look at their record over the past 2 years, is they turn the ball over consistently on offense. And big up to Yinzer Life 77. The Steelers are averaging 20 points per game and only 283 yards of offense, and that is with getting all those turnovers. So, given the fact that you have Mason Rudolph, a very inexperienced quarterback, and the Steelers are only scoring 20 points per game with all of those turnovers, if the turnovers dry up, they're going to have a really difficult time winning football games. Because what we've seen with this team, and it's no longer a trend, is they're going to turn over the ball every single game on offense. So if they're going to not get turnovers, they absolutely cannot give the ball away, because points against this offense are deadly, because the offense is not generating points on its own. The defense is sustaining much of the offensive production. So if they continue to give it away and not take it, they're going to be in a world of hurt and a world of trouble. That's why we talked about on the standard that one of the keys to this game against the Cincinnati Bengals tomorrow is they can't turn the ball over. For them to win football games consistently, and it's not necessarily sustainable, in my opinion, is they can't turn it over, and they've got to get turnovers, meaning they probably have got to get turnovers in the opponent's negative territory. That's when I say negative territory, I'm saying from the 50-yard line to an opponent's end zone, in their end. That's negative territory. They're going to have to get negative territory turnovers, multiple negative territory turnovers in this game, in my opinion, tomorrow, for the Pittsburgh Steelers to win. And their defense is going to have to continue to get turnovers. Because when your offense is this inconsistent and this bad, they can't give it away. Every turnover, every possession that they give has to be cherished. If it's not going to finish in points, it has to finish in a punt. And the good stat that I read about is that on a long field, this Steeler defense is shutting teams down. So let me go into some more stats about playing the long game. And he also wrote, what about normal drives? And let me credit the author of the article again. So you guys check out this article. And it was written again on November 6th by Jeffrey Benedict. Big up to Jeffrey Benedict. Outstanding job with this article. Playing the long game. What about normal drives? The vast majority of NFL drives follow a punt or a kickoff, and a high number of those start at the 25. If we take every drive following a kickoff or punt and only take the ones that start at the team's 30-yard line or farther back, we can incorporate the majority of normal drives in the NFL. On those drives, the Steelers' offense ranks 25th in both yards and scoring percentage and 28th in TD percentage, meaning if the Steelers have to drive the long field, they're not going to score. In the 20 drives started by a turnover, the Steelers have scored 7 TDs. In the 55 drives following a kick or punt inside their own 30, the Steelers' offense has 6 TDs. Again, it is based on a diet of turnovers. The defense, on the other hand, has been stellar in those situations, ranking 7th and 6th in scoring position and 1st in turnover percentage. Only 3 defenses in the NFL have a higher turnover percentage, and this was last week. That was the Patriots and also the San Francisco 49ers. What it says is, if the offense can stop turning it over and force teams to play the long field, it will go mightily to them winning games if they can continue to take the football away. The question is, if turnovers dry up on both ends, what will happen? What I think will happen the Steelers will be in very, 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 very close games. Tighter than a woman who's a size 26 wearing a size 2 bikini. Tight, skin tight games. That's what will happen. Let me jump into a question by Grayson Brown, and big up to Felicia. What up, Felicia? Hey, Felicia. Felicia Ballard is back. I thought we lost Fifi, but she's back in the fold. You know how she knows how we do. Welcome back, Fifi. Grayson Brown wrote, the offense has hurt this defense all year. All of the losses could be argued as a result of a herring offensive play. No juice, no creativity, no experience. It is what it is. To a certain extent, Grace Brown is right. I mean, the turnovers on the offensive side of football are killing this team. This has to be, the game plan has to change on offense. It needs to look boring. It actually needs to be run, run, pass, run, run, pass, run, run, pass, run, run, pass. The run pass ratio, in my opinion, has to flip. They need to run it 60% of the time, pass it 40% of the time, or 65-35. The game cannot be put in Mason Rudolph's hands. You can't put it in an inexperienced player's hands who may turn the football over. Although the running game is struggling, you've got to start grounding and pounding out yards in this running game to protect this defense from turnovers, because the numbers suggest if they turn it over and give offenses short fields, they are going to score on this defense. And it puts a lot of pressure on this defense and a lot of defenses. What the Steelers offense has to do is churn out yards when it can, protect the football, and punt. And this defense will give this offense good drive starting position, field position, and they have to go from there. This might be a game where this might be a season where moving forward, they're going to have to run the football, kick field goals, make a special teams player there, hopefully get a turnover from this defense, get short field, and score. But this team is going to have to rely on its defense and its special teams and its place kicker and its punting game. That's where the strengths of this defense are. We can no longer see Mason Rudolph throw the football 44 times, 45 times, and this running game get 16 to 17 attempts or running plays. That's not going to work, because if this offense continues to turn it over, and if the turnovers dry up on the defensive side of football, it's going to be extremely difficult to win games. So what has to happen for the Steelers? The formula is stop turning it over on offense, get turnovers on defense, period. That's it. That will give the Steelers the best opportunity to win games. This is a fantastic article. Make sure you check out Jeffrey Benedict's article written on, I believe it was November 9th or November 6th. Let me check that again. And maybe Jeff can share the link, or maybe I can share the link as well to the article in the live chat, because it's an outstanding article. It is really illuminating on what is going on with this football team and where the improvements have to be made. And it's very simple. It's simple, stupid. You know, it's all about turnovers. It's always all about turnovers. You have to get the football and you have to protect the football, especially when your offense is bereft of playmakers and you have an inexperienced signal caller back there. You have to really take care of the football. But let me take a look at the live chat, and let me start from the beginning, give a couple of shout outs. Big up to Vodka Drinker. I don't know if you guys are watching the OSU Penn State game. It's getting a little bit tight. Gyro asked, I want to quickly say this. We should hold our opinion on Mason Rudolph. He basically had a break from college to this year. Give him another year as a starter. Well, I'm going to say this. The way this defense is playing, you cannot waste how good they're playing football and how good they could be if you don't turn over the football. This is an elite defense. It has the potential to be an elite defense. You need quality quarterback play. You cannot squander where this defense is and how it's playing. I do not want Mason Rudolph to be the starter next year. You need 7 to be the starter next year, and you need 7 to modify how he plays, where it's less I'm a playmaker swashbuckler, and it's more of a balanced kind of attack, take care of the football, convert on third downs, play the long field game, and play to the strengths of this defense. In the next several years, this is going to be a defensive football team. And they're going to have to play a complementary style of offense, sort of like Bill Cowher did. Aggressive in the first half, aggressively pass the ball downfield, get leads, get up, run the football, protect leads. You know, that's what it has to look like for me moving forward. Let me jump into some of the comments here. Big up to Logan DiLorenzo. Holla at your boy, Crazy Chris. What up, Crazy Chris 235? Big up to Kathy for Reid Overhead. Big up to you. Big up to everybody in the live chat. Let me see if we have any questions here. Let me again plug the super chat. If you guys want to get your question to the top of the queue, hit the $ button. I know it's the holidays. You guys are buying turkey, brining turkey, doing all types of stuff with your turkey, fried turkey. Personally, I like brine turkey and fried turkey. That's better to me than roasted. Well, brine is roasted turkey, but fried turkey is pretty good. Stuffing, dressing, all that good stuff. But big up to all of you in the live chat. Logan asks, what is the over-under? I am not sure what the over-under is. I think it's 39.5 points. I think that's what Jeff said on Wednesday. But I'm not a gambling guy. I do a little bit of FanDuel, but that's pretty much about it. I don't really trust NFL players. I used to gamble. I used to know a lot of NFL players, and they did a lot of funny different things before games. Let's just say that. Let me go down here. Let's see if there's any questions on the bottom of the live chat. Grayson asked, and I'm laughing at the algorithm with Yahoo. Grayson asked, if we want 7 gone, bro, so do you. If we had Mr. Butt Naked and Get Robbed, Mason would be better. I agree. If the running game was better, and that's the problem with the Steelers right now, is although I'm encouraging that the Steelers run the football, is that their running game has not supported the young man. If they were running it better, the way that defense was playing, it would play right into the hands of how they need to play, in my opinion. Again, the way they run or the way they play offense, it has to flip. It has to be more of a run-first offense. I'm saying run, pass. Of course, I'm not saying be that predictable, but I'm saying that the game plan has to revolve around the running game, because that way you can protect the football. And if you don't end the drive in scores, you at least punt the ball. They cannot turn over the ball. They cannot turn over the ball and make it easy for offenses to score. Turnovers will kill them tomorrow if they turn over the ball, and they have to stop turning it over moving forward. Let's see if we have any more questions. Reid Overhead asks, do you agree with Butler wanting to get Barron playing time over Bush? I do not agree with that. We talked about Barron's PFF grades, and again, PFF grades aren't the holy grail, but they do give you a picture. I don't think Barron is playing quality football. I think you have to keep Bush on the field, particularly in a year like this. You want Bush to get a ton of snaps. So when Big Ben comes back and it actually, they actually, I think, have a legitimate chance to win, then Bush needs to be right. Snowman asks, thoughts on Mason Rudolph's fine of $50,000 from last week's fight? I think Mason Rudolph got away lightly. I think he was in my opinion, he was the instigator. You guys might disagree with me. I know that Myles Garrett put some hot sauce on that last sack, but I think Mason Rudolph was pretty frustrated at that point in the game as to what was going on, if they were going to get an L. And I think he really instigated a lot of what happened. And because of that, I agree with the $50,000 fine, and I think it probably should have been more, $75,000 to $100,000. That type of behavior is not expected of the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know in the moment you can lose your emotion, and I think he'll grow and learn from the experience. So I do think that the fine was appropriate. Let me go down to Ryan Kellerman says the OSU defense needs to step up. If you're a Ohio State fan, they do need to step up. I'm not going to give any spoilers and give any scores, but I want to thank Snowman for the $5. Alex Flores asked, if Bell is on a trading market next year, should they consider it? They absolutely should consider it. They absolutely should. We make fun of a Mr. Butt Naked and Rob, but if they can get him back on a cheap deal, on a cheaper price, absolutely. He's an elite back. And he ran perfectly with the way that they blocked the running game. It's like a hand in glove. It's like that perfect fit, that perfect hand in glove. He works perfectly with how this offense wants to play and how this offensive line blocks. He can catch it out of the backfield. I think Connor is a great complement to that because he brings some of the same skills. And you have, you have quality third down back that they have in Samuel. So yes, I would love to have Mr. Butt Naked and Rob back if somehow they can make that happen. Boo Bash, pick up the Boo Bash. I haven't heard that name in the live chat. Boo Bash, make sure you like this show. Make sure you subscribe. If you're new on the live chat, make sure you subscribe and make sure you like the show. Fifi, hey Felicia, I know you're subscribed and I know you've liked the show. So Boo Bash said, you think Randy might go back to the Wildcat considering Mason's play? No, I don't think so. I think once you bring that out the bag and people see it, you force people to prepare for it. But I think that's a one-trick pony. I don't think that will work. Felicia asked, if Mark and Bush play together, I like the gameplay, not one or the other. Really, right now, I mean, the way Vidi Vidi Vici is playing, it should be Bush and Vince Williams. Vince Williams is playing better football. Let me jump to the live chat. Big up the vodka drinker for putting $5 in the tip jar. And he wrote the following: the truth is that the game was decided. If we run the ball to kill the clock, that whole incident does not happen. I can't say that those aren't what young cats say right now. Hashtag facts. Facts. Hashtag facts. And this is out to Dave Schofield of Dave is listening to the show. Dave, ask Jeffrey Benedict, the outstanding author of the article, Important and Telling Statistics from the First Half of the 2019 Steelers Season. Make sure you go to the website and you check that out. Ask him if he's using total net yards for his metrics, because I'm going to put that on my spreadsheet. I love what he's doing, and I love what he's doing with those statistics. So I'm going to do that for my stat sheet to take a look at it, because yards per point are telling. And in fact, if you want to look at yards per point, look at Kansas City last year in yards per point. I mean, it was something just astronomically ridiculous. I think it was like around 7 yards per point, right? And they were getting like 500 yards or something in the game. They were averaging like 400 something yards. I mean, their yards per point, I may be really off, but their yards per point was absolutely astronomical. And that's what you want. You don't want to have to travel a long way to get points. You want explosive plays. So you want a limited amount of yards and a whole bunch of points. And that's what they were doing. They were absolutely killing teams last year. Let me jump in the bottom of the live chat here. Let me jump into another 199 in the tip jar from Grayson Brown. Pitt's worst decision, letting Le'Veon Bell go. Facts. Well, I'm gonna disagree a little bit with a couple of things. If a person wants to go, they can go. I mean, this is America. There's free agency, right? I mean, they offered him at the time the best deal in the National Football League. I think they offered him the best deal twice. It just wasn't going to work for whatever reason. There was a divorce there. He wanted more money. He didn't like the deal that they offered. He has to go. That's free agency. I mean, that happened. So I would disagree a little bit. I don't think it's Pittsburgh's worst decision because he wanted to go. You offer him the money. I mean, at a certain point in a negotiation, you're not going to offer him any more than you think he's worth. I mean, and that's what happens. And so it just wasn't going to work out. Let me scroll down a little bit more. We got another super chat here. Let me scroll up. Pick up to Justin Rock. Justin, make sure you like the program and make sure you subscribe. And I never heard Justin in here. So Justin gave $2. Let's steal TB12 from the Pats. Wow. Steeler fans on this show, how would you feel if Tom Brady was signed by the Pittsburgh Steelers in free agency? Now, this of course isn't going to happen, but I'm a Steeler fan first. I'd be like, great. If Tom Brady was the Steeler quarterback, I'd be like, man, we probably going to get that 7th ring, and the Patriots won't get their 7th ring. So let me jump into Lawrence Leedy. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correct. Right. He said, bro, you said on your show a few months ago that the Steelers should move on from Ben. Now you say when Ben gets back next year, do you think this defense, the Steelers can win a Super Bowl with Ben? For me, I you know, I some things have changed, right? Obviously, the realization is they're going to bring Ben back, right? And so with this defense, I think they are a championship caliber team if they, if they bring in some weapons and this defense continues to play well. I mean, my thing is, I thought that the Steelers' window was pretty much closed because I didn't think or anticipate that this defense would make the leap. Where this defense is, they need to bring the veteran back because this defense is good enough for them to compete for a championship. So some of that has changed just a little. Had they continued to struggle, if they struggled this year and finished like 4-12, I would say, look, it's total rebuild mode. But because of where they are, the addition of Minka and what this defense has been able to do, they need to ride with Ben. Let me go back down. Let me go grab a couple of more comments before we jump out of here. And it's right. It was Le'Veon. Getting bent with Bo said it best. And big up, Bo, for always supporting the show. And big up to you, Bo, for my IKEA couch pillows. Thank you. Send me some more for Christmas, Bo. Thank you. Le'Veon's worst decision was leaving the Steelers. That was his worst decision. Because he is in football limbo. He's in Hades with the Jets. I mean, he is absolutely in Hades. But with that, listeners, we are going to complete the program. And as always, tune in, tell a friend, and subscribe.